Hey everybody, and welcome to another devlog video for the RPG Combat. In this video, I want to show you guys a few things that I've been doing for the past few days, additional spell effects, and the last thing I've added, which is a brand new thread system. And if you don't know what that is, then we're going to go over it in this video. But before we get into that, I wanted to show the first thing that I've added here is a runaway option. So you see now that I have my troll selected in the level, and there's a new section here called Runaway, and you can see that it's off by default. But now you can make this true and allow this guy to run away. And runaway is exactly what it sounds like. You can specify a duration, a distance, an idle time, and a radius, and you even have health regeneration while the enemy is running away. And in this case, by default, is 5% HP every 2 seconds. You can make that 0 if you don't want any regeneration, but this is basically taking inspiration from games like Skyrim. If you've ever played those games, if you're fighting an enemy and the enemy gets really low on health, it'll try to run away. And if you don't chase him down and kill him, the enemy will actually regen some health and then he'll come back. So there are two ways that you can trigger this effect. You can do it via code. If you saw my previous video about combat profiles, you know that now with combat profiles you can do a lot of things. You can basically do your own custom logic. So you could, within the logic of your NPC, make the NPC run away, right? If for some reason the player is too high level, for example, there's a way of getting the player's level. Maybe you can have your NPC just run away, right? Because he knows that he can't win. Or you can do it just based on HP, obviously, which is the most logical thing. You could also have a different condition here, a Boolean, that basically does it directly here. And that's what we're going to test here today. We're not going to set up the combat profile because that's going to take too much time. But you can trigger the same effect if you just select here, run away based on condition. And you can see that we have a few operators here, less than or equal to, or equal, and then you have a percent health here. So basically what this is saying is run away if the health percentage is less than or equal to 30%. That's basically it. And when the NPC is running away, I want you to regen 5% of its total HP every 2 seconds for 10 seconds, which is the run duration. So if I click play here, and I'm gonna get close, I'm going to damage this guy. Oh, actually, he has way too much health. 1 second. Let me reduce the amount of health this guy has. Let's make it 20 instead of 200 total health. Much easier. Now I'm going to come back here. No, I don't want to kill him. And you can see now that it's below 30%, so he's literally running away, and his regen health is 1 HP every 2 seconds. And then when he's done running, he's going to come back, and you can see that he actually regened again. And I don't want to kill this guy, but you get the point, right? If you come here, oops. You can see that he's running away and healing. And there is right now no limit on how many times he can run away, which is, I realize it's a little bit silly, but apparently that's the way it is in Skyrim. So I could easily add maybe a limit, or maybe just run away once. Don't run away more than 1 time. You can see that he's just going to keep running away. As long as I keep him down below that 30% threshold, he's going to run away, he's going to regen, he's going to then try to come back. So it really depends. I could probably leave it like this and have you guys add your own limits via code, or I could add some more options here. But the point is, the option is there. If you wanted your NPC to run away, now there's a good time of doing that. Let me go ahead and move this guy to have more health. There's a reason why I wanted him to have 200 HP, but I'm going to disable him running away because I want to show you guys something else now. But basically that was one of the abilities, is to run away. And now because I've created that code, I also added something similar to fear. If you guys recall, last time I showed you guys the status effect of fear, and I mentioned that there was no code to make the guy run when in fear, and now I've added it. So I just want to quickly show you here. With just first strike, I'm basically just allowing him to fear, and you can see that he's basically running away to a random location in the world for, I think it was 6 seconds. And then as soon as he's done, he'll come back, and I can just fear him again, and then you can see that he's running away. So very similar effect. Stun will keep him in place. Fear will make him run away to a random location. And you can see there that you can specify within the blueprint how far he'll run, etc. So those are the options. I've also added a fly spell, which some of you guys saw on Discord, but I'll just show you here. If I press E, oops, not E, sorry, F, you'll see that I am now flying, and I can go up and down, and I can just go forward, and basically I'm just kind of flying around here. This is meant to be a spell, but only usable by the player. But right now, because I don't have the player component for magic done, I'm focusing on the AI. As you can see with a lot of the videos, I've basically added it as a key press. But eventually the goal, and you can see it just stopped there, the goal is going to be to have a fly spell be learned by the player, maybe be a book, or you can have it in your cast bar or whatever. And when you cast the fly spell, then you can actually go into this fly mode here. So super simple, but I thought it was kind of cool. I don't think I'm going to give that ability to the AI because that would require me coding the flying logic, right? That gets really complicated. So this is going to be one of those player only abilities, but the code is there. I just have to create the interface for it. Another cool thing I've added is a way to have your enemies drop loot. So I'm just going to type here and add the component comp spawn loot. And if you have the animal behavior kit, you'll probably recognize this because it's very much the same thing. You now have the ability to spawn loot or pickups on death, and you have a little loot table here that you can use. And if I type pickup, and I have two pickups right now, health and special, and the number here is the percent chance to spawn on a 0 to 1 scale. So 1 means 100% chance to spawn, and anything less is obviously a percent chance. So if I do this and I give this guy like 50%, every time this guy dies, it'll always spawn a health pickup, but 50% of the time it'll spawn a special pickup. So if I come here now and oops, let me go back. Sorry guys, I keep fumbling with the health. Go back and change the health to 20. I want to kill him quickly. You can see that now it spawned both the health pickup here and the special pickup here. And I know that's super loud, sorry about that. But if I come back here and play again, you can see that in this case, only the health spawned because that's the only element that's 100% chance to spawn. So super simple, but the point is now you have a simple system that you can build on where you can have loot tables for your NPCs, and this is very common for RPGs, right? So you could add a super rare ability here or item that has like a 0.1% chance to spawn, and you can have some common items with much higher percent chance to spawn. You also have a spawn lifespan here in seconds. That means that if the items are not picked up within this amount of time, they'll just disappear. Again, another nice thing. So if an enemy dies and a player doesn't pick up something, it won't be in the scene forever taking up resources, right? It'll just automatically destroy itself after this amount of time. And align to ground is basically aligning the actor when it spawns to the normal of the surface. So if you're in a mountain, for example, that's really steep, the pickup will actually align to the floor. And this is an option. You may or may not want this to happen, right? So that's an option there. And the spawn range is basically the radius in which the actor will spawn in a random area. So the bigger this number, the more area you'll have for all the different pickups to appear. All right. Okay. That's pretty much it. And now let's take a look at the main thing I wanted to show you guys, which is threat. So in MMORPGs like World of Warcraft and a bunch of other ones, the way that the AI decides who to attack is based on a number called threat. And basically, if you have multiple enemies attacking this troll, this guy will now keep track of every single enemy on a table, and it'll keep track of the thread that each individual target generates, and then it'll focus on the target that has the highest thread possible. And you add thread every single time you use an ability. And right now I have the thread hard coded to 10, so every single ability automatically generates 10 thread, but eventually you'll have this number as part of the ability itself. So if you recall, the spells are now their own class. I'm going to add a field there for thread, and the same thing for melee abilities, which are now their own individual class, right? So you can have some abilities generate a ton of thread versus some abilities generate 0 thread or very little thread. And this way you can actually create tanks in your game, right? If you have a tank build, you may want to give him abilities that generate a huge amount of thread. That way the AI keeps attacking the tank while you have your healers in the back healing or doing their thing, and the NPC will focus on whoever needs to focus on, right? So the way we do this is have a little boolean here, and now because we want to see how threat works, I want to increase the health to much higher, to like 200, and now I can do a debug threat table here, and let me take away the fear on my ability here. Sorry, we don't want to fear the NPC, we just want to do regular damage. And now if I click play, you'll see that we have a threat table on the top left corner, and as I do damage to this guy, you can see that my thread is now increasing, and every time I damage him, I add another 10 to the thread. As you can see, it keeps increasing up to 50. Now, it doesn't really make a difference if there's only one person, obviously, but this is thinking about if you have a group of players, or even if you have an NPC, right? You may have a companion that's also doing damage. What if you wanted that companion to tank, to do more threat? So what I've done here is I've created this little dummy player. I call this guy test character. It's literally just another character that does damage to a target. So I'm going to select the troll, and I'm going to do, let's do 10 damage every 5 seconds here. And the reason I'm doing that is so you can see how this guy is going to appear on the threat table for the troll. So if I click play here, notice now on the left that the test character has 10 thread, now 20 thread, and I have 0 because obviously I haven't attacked him. So even if I come here now and hit him, notice that he's still not attacking me because the test character has more thread than me. But if I go ahead and do massive thread, now I have 110 on the threat table. Now notice that he's attacking me because my threat level is higher than the test character. And he's going to keep attacking me until the threat level of the other character exceeds my amount. So he's still attacking me, he's still attacking me. And eventually this guy's going to do enough damage to pull thread, pull aggro from me. And he should be switching soon. As you can see there now, he went to the other guy because the test character now once again has higher thread than me. And you can see this even more clearly if I just grab this guy here and I multiply and I create a few additional guys here, and each one is going to be doing slightly different damage. So let's make this guy do like 2 damage only every 5 seconds, while this guy is doing 10 but every, I don't know, 8 seconds or whatever, right? 12 damage, just to make it a little bit different, right? So in this case, you have a group of actors that are all targeting the NPC, and the NPC is going to be bouncing off between the target that does the most damage, or threat in this case. So you can see that now we have 4 with different threat levels: 40, 36, 8, and I'm at 0. And you see that now I'm at 100, so he's going to come for me again because I have the highest threat, even though everybody else is attacking him. These are supposed to be players or companions with some AI, but you can see that he's stuck to me, even though I'm not doing damage to him and the other guys are constantly doing damage. Same thing, pretty quickly, test character is going to do more damage, and now he's going back to test character because now he has the same amount of threat and now has more, 110. Now he's the new target. So pretty cool, right? And because now I have this system available, now I can add abilities like Taunt. Taunt in RPGs basically forces the AI to attack a certain character regardless of the threat level it has. And you probably noticed this, but now if I go to status effects, I have a new Taunt effect. And the reason why I added it here on the status effects is because now any ability can now create a taunt. That means even magic abilities. So you could now create a hybrid tank, a magical tank, that could cast a spell that would automatically taunt the AI. You could even make AoE taunts, right? Area of effect taunts. So now I'm going to show you, I'm going to apply the taunt for 6 seconds. And this guy is going to stick to me even if my threat is not the highest. And at the end of the effect, my character will automatically generate the top amount of threat on that table plus 50. And the reason I did that is that's kind of the way that World of Warcraft does it. That way, if another character has more threat, the enemy will not bounce back again to the other character. So say that I have 0 threat. This guy has 100. I taunt this guy. He's going to stick to me for 6 seconds. And at the end of the effect, he's going to look at his threat table and he's going to give me the top threat plus 50. So if it was 100, then I'm going to automatically generate 150 threat to make sure that this guy sticks to me. And then eventually, if other people keep doing damage and I don't do my job, then the NPC will pull away. So the same thing, I'm going to maximize this. You can see that this guy has 20, and now this guy has 24 and 30, and he's basically bouncing around, and you can see the numbers at the top. I have no threat, so I'm going to come here, and I'm going to hit him. Oops, I don't think I hit him. Hold on. And now I taunted him. You can see that I have 20 threat, but he's still stuck to me. And notice now that I have 120. That's because the highest threat was 70 plus 50. That was now 110. And that's why I have 110 threat. So, oops. So I can now taunt an NPC like a tank would, even if my threat is lower than the threat of the other members of the group. And just for fun, this I just created a little bit earlier today. Now I can have an AoE taunt. So if I have a group of trolls here and they're all attacking me, I can now spawn a little totem or a little training dummy that will do automatic AoE taunts, and it'll actually taunt the entire group of trolls off of me. You can see that every troll has their own little table. They're all kind of following me. And if I spawn this training dummy here, you can see the trace. It should taunt these guys, and you can see that it worked for 3 of them at least. 2 are still following me. So you can see it's a little buggy. And now these guys are going back and attacking him. And I think the taunt was like 20 seconds. But you get the point, right? I have to iron out a lot of this code. But this is just a way of utilizing all of these different effects. So this ability is basically what shamans have in World of Warcraft. You can drop a totem, and the totem will taunt nearby enemies in the AoE radius. So all I'm doing right now is it's hard-coded, but I'm spawning this little training dummy, and it taunts, it does a sphere trace, and it sends a taunt to every single NPC that it finds in that radius for 20 seconds, and the NPCs then go and attack the little training dummy. Training dummy lasts for, I don't know, 10-20 seconds, and as soon as the training dummy is destroyed, these guys go back to the person that has the highest threat on the table. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I am working on a lot of different systems at the same time, whatever I find fun. So I'm doing a lot of progress, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that are connected here, so I have to do a lot of testing to make sure that things are working correctly. But I did want to show you guys the thread system because I thought it was really, really cool, and it opens up a ton of possibilities. If you're ever planning to make a more classic RPG, or you want to make this a multiplayer game, or you want to have, you know, companions like in Skyrim where you have Lydia, for example, following you around, right? Or you want to have pets that also damage the NPC. Now you can have your pets tank if you want to play a more fragile character like a mage. So yeah, super excited, and it wasn't even really that hard to implement. But now you have thread, which is something really, really cool. So yeah, so what do you guys think? Please do let me know in the comments below what you think about the abilities. If you have any suggestions about new abilities or any additional options for thread, if you have any examples of games that do this in a different way. Remember, I'm only going by what I know, so I'm taking a huge amount of inspiration from, in this case, World of Warcraft and Skyrim are my two main games. So any cool examples, send them my way. And I appreciate all your comments, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.